Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, James, from your Foundations class. I'm the TA with the mustache in the back. That sounds kind of creepy. But I got a question today on Slack about the second part of the homework that we went through, or whatever basically that we went through in class. And it's this guy right here. The question was kind of more geared toward variables and their values. Um, but I was trying to figure out the best way that I could help the person without physically being there and talking to them and then walking through the code. And the solution that I came to was a video. And so I thought, hey, why not just go through all the questions in the video, all the questions that we had in class, and go through them step by step and do them the way that I would do them. My thought in doing this is, twofold. The first is that, at worst case, you guys will have a place, like a frame of reference to go back and say, hey, this is how we navigate objects, and this is how we use loops. And, best case scenario is I answer a whole bunch of questions that maybe a lot of you have. So I'm gonna break this down in very simple terms and make sure that we do checks for understanding along the way. And so I guess without me further saying anymore, let's get this thing started. I want you guys to notice real quick that I'm using a text editor called Atom, and I also have my terminal up. This is going to look a little different than your guys' Replit, but the same concept still is there. All of my code is going to go over here, and everything that I console log is going to go here. So let's get into it. So the first question that we have is list all names of your family members. Cool. So we learned how to navigate objects using dot notation, correct? So if I look at this guy, all names, list names of all your family members. So all my family members, name. Cool. So if I do me.familymembers.name, that should give me what I want. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to run it. And, okay, well, it gives me undefined. That's interesting. Let's look at this guy. Me.familymembers. Oh, hold up. This is an array. So I can't use dot notation to navigate through an array. Let's also talk about this guy real quick on line 12. Family members is a key of the object me, and it has a value of an array of objects. Anytime you want to push multiple values into a key, it needs to be housed in an array. It doesn't matter if it's strings or numbers, or in this case, objects. This is how we can have multiple data or multiple values associated with one key. All right, well, you know what? Cool, that's fine, because what else we learned was how to actually navigate through arrays as well. Arrays use zero index. So if I wanted to get me.familymembers and at index 0, I want to get this object, I can do that. So family members, and we set it up in bracket notation because we know how to do that. And I'm going to run this guy. Boom, got it. So now I have at index zeros of me.familymember, I have this object. And in this object, it has a key of name. So I can get .name from here. I can save it, I can run it, and bam, I have Deb. So if I apply this principle all the way through, Control V, Control V, Control V, and I do, let's see, 2, oh my lord, close, 1, 2, and 3, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 objects, and since it starts at index 0, it's at index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and through each object, I can do .name. So let's go ahead and run this guy and see what we get. Bam. So let's come up to the top, list the names of all your family members. I got it. Well, I feel like there's a better way to do that. We also have a way to navigate through arrays using a loop, right? We don't have to just use the index to find certain places. So let's go ahead and set that up and see what that looks like. Also, quick pro tip, mostly when you're navigating objects, but anytime I'm using big variables, I like to change them into something like that I know and I can handle. So I'm going to change me.familymembers to a variable called fam. And as we all talked about over here, family members gives you, family members is an array, right? So now we have this array. We're there right now. So let's check out this loop. I'm going to go ahead and uncomment this out, and I'm going to delete this, bring this guy up, and I'm going to remove this variable because we already called it. And let's see, so simple for loop. So for var I equals 0, while I is less than fam.length, we're going to I++, so +1, and we're going to console.log fami.name. So let's run this, and what we expect to happen is the same thing that happened right here on these lines. Comment it out, and I'm going to run it, and holy snaps, it looks like I know what I'm talking about. I got each individual name, and I did it a better way than just navigating through each individual index. So let's break this down a little bit further and kind of talk about what's really going on in a for loop. So I'm going to log for you guys fam, fam I. Close that guy off, and we're going to run it again. All right, now let's take a look at this. If we look at the first fam I, it looks like we have the object at the 0 index. So this guy right here is the same thing as this guy right here. Okay, cool. So what you're telling me is fam I is equal to this object? Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at our for loop. So we're going to set I to 0. And as we know, navigating through arrays in this bracket notation, I is now at this at this specific iteration, fam I at position 0. So that's going to give us the first object. And we're going to loop through it, and we're going to add 1 to the first iteration. But at the very first iteration, fam I is going to be 0. So in reality, it's just like saying on the first part of this loop, so at the first, first iteration, which I'm unsure if I spelled that correct, we're going to have fam 0, right? And now that we have this object, we can go ahead and do .name. Now, the power of loops comes from the idea of being able to take each item out of the array and evaluate it by itself. And we can do that by using indexes, right? So now fam 0.name, which is the first iteration, is going to give us deb, right? And so at the second iteration, which I'm not going to type that out again, it's going to be, well, maybe I will. So let's go ahead and do this for you guys. Control C, Control V, and at the second iteration, fam I is going to be equal to fam1. And so let's see if that makes sense. Fam1, so at index position of 1, 0, 1, we have this object. And so if we scroll through, and now this I is going to be equal to 1, we're going to get .name, and so on and so forth. And it's going to do this 4 times until it's done all the way through the array. And the big part about this is how we can separate things out from arrays and really kind of do whatever we want to each item at that index. It's important to note that we're grabbing the index, right? And we're not really messing around with the item itself until we tell it to do so. Right now we just have the object, and now we're saying, hey, now that we have this object, let's do something with it. Loops are super powerful, and we can do a whole bunch of stuff like add conditions to them and a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll get into that in the next video, but that is how you loop through arrays